All right. Well, speaking of YouTube, first off, Paul's channel recently hit 100,000 subscribers, so congrats to Paul. Ooh. Most recent video on his channel, though, shed some light onto what could possibly be an issue in the future with grip enhancers. So he basically tested a bunch of grip enhancers that were...
Paul is kind of a narc, man. He just kind of like, what if there's all these players on tour that are like using them and they're like, well, dang, Paul, like thanks for chucking that into the headlights.
Basically, he tested a bunch of stuff that the MLB has outlawed.
Right. It's a hot topic right now because guys in the MLB were using new... There's been a history of grip enhancers that are illegally used in Major League Baseball. You're allowed to use rosin that's like on the mound for you to use. Typically, the old-fashioned one is pine tar. Guys would hide it on their neck or on their glove. And what they're doing is they're putting it on the tips of their finger to get more RPM on the baseball. You get more action and movement, and you get more velocity because it's more spin rate. So this prompted, I guess, Paul, because like the newest ones that guys were using in baseball, it like became like a big thing where they were using like this thing called Spider Tack was a popular one, but they were harder to see and detect, and they were pretty effective. And it got to the point where so many people were using it in baseball that everybody had to use it. You didn't have a choice as a pitcher because if you didn't, you were just losing.
The person on the bench who was using it was going to jump you.
Yeah. So, like, basically, the MLB cracked down big time to now they can do random checks where literally these dudes are pulling down their pants practically in the middle. I'm not even kidding you. They're, like, undoing their belt.
I've seen some of those clips where a guy's been checked, like, 4 times in one game. Yeah. By the 4th time, he literally just undoes everything. Yeah. He's like, here I am.
Managers can, like, request a check to make sure they don't have any illegal substance. MLB has cracked down on it big time, which in baseball... I don't have a problem with that. Like,
yeah,
it is.
Well, so that's the whole question: is do you think that these type of grip enhancers will actually be banned in disc golf at some point? And if so, what do you think it would take for that to happen?
I don't think. I think all it takes is one player becoming known for using it on tour, like to where it becomes you see them doing it on coverage, then it's like obvious they're using it. And I think the PDGA will ban it.
Well, it shouldn't be. Here's the thing: is if you feel like you have to hide it, then in your mind you've already told yourself it's illegal.
No, I think they just
right. Is that not a good train of logic?
No, I think they just know
because it could be for competitive reasons.
That you don't want your competitors
right.
to know.
I think
you want to have the leg up.
Well, but now there's a video out there that everyone's seen,
and I think also
that you can actually use it and it works somewhat.
I think also that players just may also know if they're using it that like if it becomes mainstream, it's going to get banned by the PDGA. They just suspect that. So thanks to Paul for expediting that process. But here's the thing. The difference between baseball, where this is used, like football, there's been things with like guys using like the stick-em on their hands, receivers to catch the ball. The difference is in like baseball, for example, you are using that advantage against a batter, right?
You're straight up stealing the point I told you yesterday.
Well, no, I also had that point.
Come on, man.
I'll let you say it.
No, you go ahead. You already started.
No original content.
No original content. Trevor's even stealing ideas from me.
It's not like that.
Go ahead, then.
Okay. I'm just saying that in baseball, you're using it against a batter who has nothing to combat that advantage, right? So it's like you versus another person, you getting an advantage outside of the rule book, and he's not.
You're stealing it word for word from me. At least switch it up some.
I'm pretty sure we harmonized into that point yesterday.
Well,
we started
I'd already
talking
written it down.
and we're like finishing each other's
sandwiches. My whole thing with that is like there's not something that makes it easier for the batter to hit. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not like you just have to have reaction time in that. Or in football, like you brought up, if like someone has stick-em on their hands or on, I mean. The NFL's gloves might as well be sticky substances, but that's a whole different thing. But when someone's going up to sky you and grab, if it just happens to stick in their hand when you played perfect coverage, there's nothing you as a defender can do.
Break up the pass.
Yeah, there's nothing you can do to stop that.
Right.
Whereas in disc golf, my gut reaction is that this will be banned at some point.
Yeah.
But I don't think it should because, like, what advantage is it really giving?
Because everyone can use it.
Right.
Yeah, it's the same. I see it like a rangefinder.
Yeah.
Right? Like...
I would argue that the rangefinder, because like what they found in that video, I believe, and what we had heard from people, is that what it really is giving you, this grip enhancer, is not really a distance advantage, but just a grip advantage. So it's not even really like it's going to give players an advantage, like they're going to get better, but it's almost going to just
Well, they
help
might be able
them
to
with
get, like-
consistency.
Yeah.
Like just like have a better grip, and this already happens on tour because some guys just have drier hands than others. I am not one of those people, so I could say I'm at a disadvantage already.
But in certain times, you're at the advantage if it's really dry outside.
Yeah, because I would disagree because I would say a lot of times discs are slipperier in my hands.
I couldn't even
It
know
depends on the
about-
temperature.
I couldn't
But we
even know
also
about
are
something
two
like
extremes
that.
right
Yeah.
here. We're like the exact opposite.
But I think that's what I'm saying is like I don't really like. Is it an advantage?
I would say
Yes.
the rangefinder is a bigger advantage.
But it's almost like to me, it's in the same category as having a really good chalk bag.
well, I mean, baseball they're allowed to have rosin, but not. So like there is like they draw a line.
Well, I think
in
that's where,
baseball.
but that's what I'm saying. I would assume that's going to be the line draw in disc golf.
Yeah.
But I'm saying in baseball, it makes sense because you need to be able to dry your hands off to get it back to natural feeling, but then you shouldn't be able to go beyond natural in baseball because you're directly affecting someone.
Right.
This, you're not. It's not like, oh my gosh, well now Eagle can throw 1,000 feet instead of 700 feet. It's like, oh my gosh, now Eagle can throw as far as he could already have thrown consistently.
I do think
It's
you're right,
like
though.
he didn't get better. In baseball, it makes a player better.
Yeah.
It didn't make anyone better in disc golf. It just allows them to have more confidence, basically.
I definitely think you're right. I think it will get banned.
It will get banned.
Because I think the PDGA just likes kind of being big and bad. So like they'll just be like, oh,
Well,
let's keep
I
the
think it's
sport
just
clean.
that gut reaction of like
when you
it
first
needs to be banned.
When you first hear it and you just don't even think about it, and then like the circumstances in which it's going to be used as well, which are kind of like sneaky circumstances, they're going to just be like, oh, we need to ban this, and they're going to do it. But does it need to be? Is it really that important? Most players probably won't even end up using it because they'll probably like not like the feel of it. I haven't tried it yet. We probably
Well, I feel
should.
like as much as it can lead to you maybe getting a little more RPMs on the disc, it could also lead to more grip locks.
Yeah, there
there
could be side
some
effects.
disadvantages.
Like, yeah, I don't think it's like a hot topic that needs to be like we need to squash this before it becomes a
No,
problem
that's what
on
I'm saying.
tour.
Is it's very. I'm pretty confident that if it got to where it was being used on tour, players who weren't using it would be upset that it was being
Here-
used and complain until it got banned. But I just don't understand the logic behind
Here's
banning.
the other thing: in baseball, whenever guys were using those substances, they were pitching significantly better. I just saw a stat that Yu Darvish, before the crackdown era, as they're calling it, had a 2.45 ERA, and since they started that, he has a 6.8 ERA or something like that. Like guys are pitching way better before. Like, it's like
it's also-
it's drastic. Whereas like in disc golf, I don't think we're gonna see. Oh my gosh, Eagle McMahon. Since they banned those substances, is now finishing in 15th every event instead of contending for wins.
No,
that's not going to
exactly.
happen. So like,
But you also have to think
it's a huge difference.
baseball, it kind of ruined the game to a sense because one of the most exciting parts of baseball is the actual hitting and running the bases.
Right.
So when
Yeah.
you make that part of the
Baseball
game harder,
is super, super anti-pitcher because home runs are
yeah,
like
so when you make that part of the game of the actual hitting harder,
Yeah.
then yeah, like you need to ban
More
whatever
fun to
substance.
watch
This
someone walk
season-
up
Yeah, 'cause
and
you're
play catch
yeah.
basically.
this
Disc golf,
season.
you're making it more like if it does make them throw farther, you're not really necessarily ruining the game because that's the most exciting part of the game.
In baseball, this was a very pitcher dominant like season starting out. Like they were on track for like more no hitters than ever in the season. Like it was like guys were just mowing down batters, and Major League Baseball, like that was one of their big motivators to just crack down. They're like, all right, we need the hitters. Like they've done things before, like juice the baseballs, make them more like active off the bats. Like they're always trying to help hitters. So
Which makes sense.
it does.
I
But
think at least.
poor pitchers, but
Well, yeah, it sucks to be a pitcher because I also feel like a pitcher, the only stat that's ever read about you is negative unless you do something crazy.
what are you talking about?
I don't know. Whenever I hear about like, I don't know. I feel like the only time
You
I ever
don't
hear
follow
about a pitcher
baseball.
is that's what I'm saying. The only time I ever hear about a pitcher is if they did a no hitter. But I hear about almost every home run, like all the time. I see clips of home runs and
It
stuff.
takes like you're saying, it takes a lot more.
And then
as
like
a
if you're
pitcher to get
watching,
noticed.
it's like
You're right. You're right.
The pitcher's given up X amount of hits, and it's like, poor guy.
You're
It's
right.
kind of like how like
Pitchers
you
get no
never
love.
hear about the goalie in basketball, like because you know what I mean.
Same, exactly. Yeah.
It's like I think my brain is in a
No,
somersault.
the goalie in soccer is actually. I know that's not you're making a joke, but the goalie in soccer is another like kind of
You're right.
thankless
You
position.
only hear about when they get scored on.
Yeah.
Even though they do a very important job.
If they get a shutout, then you hear about it, or if they do something crazy.
And honestly, a
then
lot
you
of
hear about
times when there's a clean sheet, as they call it, you hear about the defense more than you do about
Yeah,
the
the
actual
goalies.
keeper.
There's just some thankless
Justice
jobs in
for the
sport.
keepers.
There you go.
There is just a lot of people that need recognized.
Yeah, the spotters, the keepers, the goalies in basketball. I mean, they're all going under the radar right now.
Mount Rushmore, in part of my take, is like the unsung heroes of sports.
That'd be a good one.
It's probably already been done.
Probably.